Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another episode of 6 Film Runs, where I try and find 6 consecutive films by directors that are really, really good, or even better than really, really good. So today I'm going to talk about Takeshi Kitano, the Japanese director, one of the best directors of the last 35 years, but is still, I think, somewhat underrated. He has a unique sense of humour. He has a unique editing style when it comes to violence. His films are violent, but they're probably more violent in your mind than they actually are, because a lot of the violence is in the cut. He's probably still more famous in Japan for being Beat Takeshi, the comedy TV star, but his films are all of a generally high standard. And yes, he may be stereotyped as doing Yakuza films, but he has done different kinds of films in between, and his filmography is well worth checking out. I've seen all of them apart from one, which is quite difficult to track down. But this 6 film run, I am literally just going to do his first 6 films. So we start in 1989 with Violent Cop. This is a Region A film movement Blu-ray, which has got really nice artwork, and you get a little booklet as well. First time I saw this was in BBC Two, I believe, and again that unique editing style, that kind of bleak nihilism. It might not be his best film, but it's one of my favourites just because of that complete nihilism. You know, innocent bystanders get shot, which you don't see a lot in films, you know, when cops are chasing bad people about, but there's collateral damage in this film. It's about corruption. Nothing ever changes. It is really bleak, but it's also absolutely wonderful. And one of the best debuts of all time. And then 1990, Boiling Point. Again, this is a film movement, Region A, Blu-ray. This has less Kitano in it. I should say Violent Cop obviously stars Kitano in that kind of shambling man of little words, or few words even. This is Boiling Point, which may or may not all be a dream of this kind of loser part-time baseball player, even though he's not any good, who gets involved with Yakuza and ends up getting involved in a gang war where they end up going to meet Kitano's dodgy gangster who's going to get them guns. It's all very offbeat, pardon the pun, but it's still quite wonderful. Not as wonderful as Violent Cop, but that would be quite hard. And then next, just as an example of doing something different, 1991's A Scene at the Sea, which is his surfing film. This one doesn't star Kitano. It's a very lyrical little film about a deaf guy who wants to learn surfing. It's a U certificate, which is quite rare for Kitano, but it's just a wonderful little film. And again, it shows a different side to Kitano if you're just used to, oh, he only makes Yakuza films. But then in 1993, he returned to Yakuza films in Sonatine. I actually saw this one in the cinema, and this is the second Kitano that I saw. And this is absolutely beautiful, a lot more colourful, and it would kind of show you what would come with later Kitano films. But this has a kind of lyrical interlude where these gangsters go to the beach and just mess about. Has another wonderful, bleak, nihilistic Kitano ending. The violence is sudden and ugly and over very quickly. You know, there's no 20-minute shootouts in Kitano films. People just stand and shoot at each other until nobody's left. Just a beautiful film, great performances. I think this is the first film with Susumi Terajima, who would be a Kitano regular. It was wonderful. And this might be my favourite Kitano, just because it's the one that I saw in the cinema. And it did have such an amazing effect on me. And then again, something a bit different, 1994, Getting Any. This is Kitano taking on his beat Takeshi persona. This is a knockabout comedy, but it actually stands up pretty well. Western audiences might not get all the jokes, but this, in actual fact, is an interesting double bill with Cronenberg's Crash, which I brought up when I was a guest on Daisuke Beppu's channel. I don't even know when that was, 18 months ago. And we kind of talked about the link between Kitano's Getting Any and Cronenberg Crash. Maybe all the jokes don't land, but there's a lot to like in Getting Any. And then finally, another film which Kitano doesn't star in. Perhaps his best film without an appearance, but you could argue Dolls. But this is Kids Return, about two school friends that take different paths. And again, it has that Kitano sense of humour and that Kitano showing violence the way it actually is, ugly and nasty, instead of making it look fun and exciting that some directors do. So that's Kids Return from 1996. So even within this wonderful 6-film run, there are different elements to Kitano's game, which he would further expand throughout his career. So again, if you're just used to Kitano doing Yakuza films, there is variation in his filmography that kind of gets overlooked. And he does have little gems that also don't star himself as well. So that's the 6-film run for Takeshi Kitano. Please leave comments if you agree, disagree, would have his 6-film run somewhere else, or if you don't think he has a 6-film run at all. So thanks so much for watching this episode of 6-Film Runs. Hopefully join me for more episodes. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.